Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everyone, to another spooky movie episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's getting lost in the sun with me tonight?
Hi, I'm Tiffany Albertin, and I got nothing.
Hey, everybody, this is Kenneth Sanity, and I just cannot deal with new people right now.
Hi, I'm Helena. I go by Hell Hath Fury on TikTok.
And the creator of awesome music that I plug every single episode.
Thank you. I tried hard.
Oh, you're that Helena.
Yes.
I'm also that one.
So we're here to talk about a movie that I had no intention of ever watching, but you guys convinced me I should, and I don't know how I feel about that. We are here to cover Midsommar, which came out in 2019, directed and written by Ari Aster. I have no idea who he was, but I know Ken knows of him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And if there's any justice in the world, one of these days you're going to watch Hereditary.
Oh, I want to watch that.
Oh, Hereditary is really fucked up.
Yep. And so is this.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, is this fucked up?
Mike, we need to watch that for this show.
Sure. Why not?
Have all these people on that are currently here.
Yes, perfect.
I mean, sure, why not? I'll do more horror movies. Whatever the people want.
That.
Even if I don't
I
like
love
the
that
movies.
for you, Mikey. Ken, would you say that Midsommar is more fucked up or Hereditary?
Ooh, that is a good question, because I think they're both super fucked up in their own special ways. Specifically, like, I will say Midsommar is much more insidious with its fucked upness.
Mm-hmm.
Hereditary does wear its fucked up badge on its sleeve, which is good. You know what you're getting into. It's going to be a fucked up time.
Like,
This
it's more obvious.
different, way different, much more subtle. And one of the really fucked up things about this movie isn't even something that you catch the first time through. But we're going to talk about that.
First, I always like to ask what people's history are with something that we're covering. I only knew this movie existed because you guys mentioned it. Florence Pugh was in it, so I was curious. And I saw the weird cover, and I seen one weird image of her sitting near the end, sitting her covered in flowers. I'm like, well, she's going to get burned alive. That's what went through my head. I'm like, well, because she just had that upset face. I'm like, well, that's what I think. And then that was my only thought of the movie until we watched it. What about you, Tiff?
I just kept seeing the cover, on our, what is it on?
It was on Paramount.
Yeah, on Paramount. When I scrolled, that was it. That was it.
And Helena?
You know, I didn't see it when it first came out. I rented it, and when I watched it for the first time, I knew nothing going in. And this is the only movie that I've watched to date that actually made me physically ill afterward. I was yakking for a long time after watching this.
Ooh.
Interesting.
And Ken?
Oh, I saw this on 4th of July. This was a wonderful holiday viewing for me. Double feature of this and Spider-Man No Way Home. It didn't make sense, but they were both in theater and I wanted to see them, so that's what I did.
Wait, what did you watch first? This one?
No, Spider-Man was actually first.
Oh, that's interesting.
He went on a great high and left weirded out. Okay.
Oh, no. I had a good time with this movie. I had seen Hereditary in theaters when it came out, so I had to go see this in theaters as well. I believe once you see Hereditary in the theaters, it's a covenant. You have to go see Ari Aster's movies in theaters.
I don't see horror movies in the theaters. That's how I found out the hard way.
Change it.
He always picks me.
And Helena, I completely understand where you're coming from. This movie unsettled me too after I watched it. I didn't want to sleep. I just was very unsettled. Yeah.
Yeah, it was truly disturbing. And watching this movie is exactly why I started reading the Wikipedia plot information before watching new ones.
That makes sense. See, I don't like horror movies. I just stay away from them, and I'm just fine. So that's my solution. This movie starts off very strangely, too, and I was very confused when we started watching this. The very opening is you have Danny getting upset over her sister. Her sister just sent her the ominous text message, and I didn't really understand what was going on. Plus, we couldn't really see the TV because it was too bright outside, and this movie's really dark in the beginning. Really dark. And I was just very confused. You have the answer machine going off. You see her parents. I thought they were sleeping. I didn't put two and two together right away. It was just a very odd opening. I was very, very confused.
Well, they were sleeping.
Well, yes. It was just
the big one, though.
Forever sleeping.
Oh, and before we go any farther, I forgot I wanted to put a disclaimer at the opening of this episode. We are going to talk about probably suicide. We're going to talk about death in horrifying ways. So just want to put a warning before we go farther in this that we are going to go on some tough subjects.
It might be too late.
And
We
also
haven't gotten there
sexual
yet.
assault comes up.
Yes, I don't think we can get through this movie without talking about sexual assault.
No, that's going to come up too.
So fair warning, everybody.
So all the bad things, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. So there's the warning. So, all right. But I just didn't understand what was happening. I was very, very confused. And I was like, oh God, did they make me watch another Under the Skin movie where nothing's going to make sense? I'm going to be bored the whole time.
Okay, to be fair, you were the one that pushed for Under the Skin.
I know.
So I don't want to hear it. Second off,
You're just upset because the only name in that whole movie was yours, the guy that died.
yeah. Same reason I was upset when I went to go see Barbie yesterday. It's a
Do you
name
feel
you
like-
don't hear. And then all of a sudden
Do
it's
you-
everywhere.
Do you feel like you're not Kenneth?
I am not
Need that shirt.
enough.
Ah,
You'll forever be Keith to me, so it's okay, Keith.
Well, thank you, Tiff. I appreciate that.
And I can be Taylor to you if you want. That's what my friend at work calls me. So
That's all right. I don't think I'm going to do that.
the one time when I recorded with you, how many times I couldn't remember your name for some weird reason. I just called you by the wrong name.
It just stuck. And he's
I blame the alcohol that day. But so I guess you also get you get a brief glimpse of seeing how their relationship is when Danny is upset, which I didn't even know who the character's name was for the longest time. But that was on me, not on the movie. I didn't know her name was Danny. I just put in the notes Florence. I'm like, what's the character? I don't know. Danny. And when she's arguing with her boyfriend for the first time, Christian, because I forget. Oh, asking her if he'll come. Maybe not arguing. Asking if he'll come over. He's like, "Do we got plans?" She's like, "No." Well, okay, maybe I'll stop
hated
by.
him so much right from the beginning.
Oh, you're supposed to.
Hated
Oh,
him so much.
let's talk about that real quick. Who hates Christian?
Everybody.
Me.
Me.
Me. I've been in relationships with a type like that, and no gracias.
How many
I-
have been in relationships like that? Raise your hand. Like,
I was going to say, I think I've dated a Christian before as well.
I think I've dated a Christian before too. I'm pretty sure Mike has.
Close, yes. It was just I don't know. I guess it didn't click right away how much of an asshole he is. It was during the part when he starts kind of gaslighting her when she starts apologizing for getting upset. That's when I'm like, oh, I see where this is going.
Oh, but it's going to get so much worse.
For getting upset that he was going to Sweden.
I
and then
think
didn't
so.
Tell her.
Yeah, because he's like, I didn't hide it. You didn't ask or something like that.
And then she started I was like, what? Yeah, I was just like, well, I hated him anyways. But then I really hated him.
I mean, they try to make sure you do. Even in the diner scene when they're at the restaurant and he's talking to her and his friends are all like, aren't you going to break up with her already?
And I think he was. And then her parents, the
Yeah.
whole thing with her parents and her sister, and then he put it.
That's what I also didn't get. The whole reason why he didn't tell her about Sweden, I was watching a YouTube thing that kind of explained some stuff, is I guess the idea is that since he was going to break up with her, he felt there's no point in telling her that he's going on a trip. So,
Correct.
I mean, that works better for the cult. I mean, when you don't tell them you're coming, then no one knows, and when you disappear, nobody asks.
I mean, yeah.
That is kind of the odd thing, and maybe we don't need to get into it now, but the folks who were taken to the cult all had families, and you would imagine that they would have told their families that they're going to Sweden. So for them to just disappear, I want the sequel to Midsommar where the families try to locate their missing children.
Midsommar 2, Midsommar Harder. I like it.
After Effect.
I mean, I was wondering, I'm in the same boat. I wanted, when you make people disappear, you need to do it a little more, people are going to go looking for them.
I mean, maybe they didn't. Maybe they just thought, I'm going on a trip. I'm an adult. My parents maybe don't need to know. Maybe they're not connected like that. Of course,
But
I
somebody-
would tell my mom.
Somebody's going to be wondering, especially in this day and age.
How
Somebody.
long were they going for? 2 weeks?
A month and a half, I think.
Oh, a month?
Mhm.
All right, so let's touch on that real quick.
Okay.
With the exception of Danny's parents, there are no parents in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never
None.
hear about them anyways.
No mention of
except
parents.
for the cult parents, but
Yeah.
But whose parents are they? They're definitely not Pella's parents. He talks about how his parents died in a fire.
Yeah.
yeah.
yes.
So there are no legitimate parents
Oh,
No,
in
it
this
just
movie.
clicked. They died in a fire. Oh,
because they're raised
Yes.
by everybody.
that just clicked. I'm not going to go into it more, but that just clicked why they died in a fire. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Oh dear.
It's the kind of movie where you need to watch it twice. I'm not going to, but okay.
I almost watched it again today.
You could have. I wouldn't have been
should've.
involved with it.
I
But
should have watched it again today because there's some things I commented on that I forgot. All right.
Before we get too far away from it, I want to touch on that cold open, which in the history of cold opens is a great fucking cold open. Like the whole sequence with Danny and her sister and the parents. So, okay, if you haven't seen the movie, let me lay it out for you. So Danny, played by Florence Pugh, is trying to get in touch with her sister, Terry. Terry is sending ominous messages, concerning messages, and Danny can't get a hold of either her or her parents that Terry lives with. And she's, upset, worried. She calls her piece of shit boyfriend, Christian. They talk. He's like, whatever, I don't like you, but I'm too much of a wuss to do anything about it. Fine. She calls him back. His friends make fun of him, and she is just screaming, sobbing, grief. Like, that is hard to listen to. Those are grief-stricken howls. And then they go through Danny's parents' house with one of the most ominous scores I've ever heard in my life. Just a couple violins vibing atonally together. And you find out that Terry did kill herself and her parents by starting up two cars, hooking hoses to the exhaust, running one pipe into her parents' room, and duct taping the bottom of the door so they would suffocate in their sleep, which, yeah, they were asleep. And then duct taping the other hose into her fucking mouth.
yeah, that was tough.
Sitting by the computer where you see there are 4 unread messages from Danny. Like, that's fucking harrowing, man.
Yeah, that was a really tough scene to watch. I was like, what the hell? I didn't like it.
The expression on Terry's face was
I
what really
can't-
haunted me,
I
and
can't
her
fucking do
eyes. Yeah, her eyes being so glossy.
And one of them being a different color.
Yes.
Yeah, like it was, and the vomit down her shirt that came out through the tape around the hose. Nope. Mm-mm. Oh, the first time I saw that stuck with me for weeks.
No, I get that.
Say what you will about this movie and everything about it, but that image is one that sticks with you.
The movie wants to make you unsettled right as it starts.
Oh, it did.
See, this is all hard for me to see because we were watching it in too bright of an area at the time. So I didn't catch these details, which I'm okay with, by the way.
We had to wait until the sun went down.
Just get blackout curtains, man.
I did have some of those before when I used to work overnights, but
I wanted to go downstairs and he wouldn't let me.
and then just the I think it's right after this and everything happened with Danny. You have the boyfriend like, hey, let's go to a party. Like,
Well, it's not right after.
It's what, a day after or so,
A day or two, I think.
but it's still too soon.
He said, I'm going to.
Oh yeah, he didn't want her to go with him.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'll go with you. And that's how she found out that he was going to.
Oh yeah, because they mentioned it. Okay, they mentioned it at the party that they're going to Sweden.
And I don't think he was going to tell her.
No,
And what, just disappear? Is that how that was going to go?
he was going to break up with her and just leave. He's an asshole.
I-
I mean, his friends are assholes too.
Yeah.
I don't think Josh is the biggest asshole. The
No,
one that
Josh
was played by William
the guy
Jackson
from-
Harper.
The Good Place, right?
Yeah, it's Cheaty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I liked him. He was fine.
Yeah.
Until
It's
he
kind of the
wasn't.
voice of reason, but.
Now, Mark, the guy played by Will Powder, he was an asshole.
There was really nothing about Mark's character that redeemed him.
No.
I didn't find any qualities that were likable with him.
No, not even when they were in the cult.
And I think that was the point. Like, I feel like he was the tropey, token piece of shit American
Yeah.
who is like vaping all the time and not respecting anybody's culture.
That's
Like,
fair.
There's always got to be one. And it has to be Will Poulter, apparently, because he was a dumb himbo in Guardians 3. So
Yeah, it was cool to see. I laughed when I saw him. Like, oh, that's cool. Also,
I still fantasize about a world where he was playing Pennywise in the new It movies.
that he was supposed to?
Yeah, he was originally attached to it and then had to drop out. So then they got the Bill Skarsgård.
I think Bill was perfect in that role with the way he did his eyes. I don't know if you've ever seen the series of pictures where Bill Hader comes up to him, and Bill Hader thought that it was just special effects that made his eyes do that. And then he shows him that it's real. And you see in the sequence of photos, Bill Hader just looking absolutely terrified and stepping back from him.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It would have been interesting, though. Will Poulter is an interesting actor. He is.
And then you have the other guy. I forgot his name. The one that takes him to Sweden.
Pelle.
Yeah, I mean,
Pele.
he was interesting too because he's kind of like feeding the problems, and like it felt like the same point he wanted to sleep with Danny. That's how I took it.
I don't think he wanted to sleep with her.
I think he just wanted to murder her.
No, I think it all made sense at the end when he was trying to do.
Have her make the choice and win the May thing.
He's working recruitment, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
He was trying to get them there, and he was trying to make it all look like natural. Like, oh, you want to come with me and see where I live?
He's
And
being a good manipulator.
yeah,
Making it their idea.
make their decision. Oh, we're having a festival. You'll really enjoy it. You should come see my family, which isn't really my family because my parents burned to death.
And his thing, too, was at the end of the movie when they were deciding the victims to go, into the burning house, because he had brought the May Queen, he was excluded from being one of the options of the cult to go in.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
I did not catch that.
I didn't even.
So it was self-preservation on his part.
So that's why he's constantly mentioning like, oh, the Maid Queens and feeding that to her
Yes.
right in the beginning. Oh, okay. That adds a new dimension to it. That's cool. Thank you. I appreciate it more now all of a sudden.
Oh, you're going to appreciate it more by the time we're done, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. I mean, I do like how they after you have them arguing when she finds out that they're going to Sweden, you have that whole fight where he's like, oh, I didn't, where he's trying to blame her for him lying to her.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the part where she goes into a room and all of a sudden she's on the airplane, just the way that the cameras change.
Sick.
I really like that. I thought that was really good.
Such a good shot. I do love good transitions like that. It just
That was a good transition. Like I was impressed. I was a little confused, but impressed. A little bit, because it just went very quickly. I wasn't expecting them all of a sudden to be on the plane. I don't know, it just caught me off guard, the transition.
I wish there were more transitions like that in this movie, honestly.
Like the whole part when, like, before they get on the plane where he's like, I invited Danny, but she's not going to go. I invited her, but she's not going to go.
How did he know she was?
I think he thought he was going to manipulate her not to go. I'm not sure exactly what his thought process was.
Maybe he thought she.
Maybe. I don't know. It was just, he's an asshole.
Yeah.
That's all I got. And then this is when the movie kind of like, everything becomes daytime after this part for most of the movie then, because you have them driving, then you have them arriving at the field in Sweden, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere. They kind of make sure that you're aware, like, there's no cell phone signal. They're just out there.
Yeah. And we should talk about the banner that shows at the beginning of the movie, way before the beginning. Did you guys look at that, like the artsy banner at the beginning, like really closely?
No.
It's the entire movie.
Oh,
the
yes.
entire movie is laid out in that
did.
banner.
Where she like clips her pubic hairs and puts it in the bath.
That was the
what you're
second
talking?
banner.
Oh, not
Yes.
the first one. I
Yeah,
don't know if I saw that one.
Yeah, the first banner before anything even starts.
I did not catch this.
Yeah, it lays out the whole movie.
Okay, explain it to us then. Because I missed that one.
No, there's, let me see if I can find a picture of it and send it to the group chat.
That's cool. That's some cool foreshadowing to kind of do that. Because, again, it's going to make no sense to you, so it doesn't hurt showing the audience it.
Well, they used paintings throughout the movie to foreshadow future events. Like in Danny's apartment, there's this beautiful painting of a little girl and a bear that are sitting nose to nose, which of course comes up in that, ending sequence.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
okay. I did not catch. I didn't catch that either. But that's
And then of course I can't remember what you would call it, but what Tiffany was talking about that was hanging in the yard of the cult.
Yeah, we can call it a
Tapestry.
yeah.
Yes, tapestry.
And she asked, "What is this?" And he said, "Oh, do you want to see the story?" I think he called it.
Oh, that is.
Oh, I didn't. Where was that? I didn't.
It's in the opening of the movie.
Yeah, that is literally at the opening of the movie.
I don't remember that.
Wow.
That's because it was probably too dark for me to see it.
Yeah, that would also make very little sense
Right. But if you go back and watch it again, you're like, oh, I get it. That's the whole damn movie.
Yeah,
I
that
should have
is.
watched it again.
You probably
That
will.
The sun's image or face in that image is horrifying. I never
Yeah, it
want to
is.
see a son look at me like that.
That is quite horrifying.
It's worse than the Teletubby son. It really is.
The Teletubby son is awful.
When they get to the field, I thought it was weird that the first thing they do is start taking drugs.
Oh,
Like-
no. You need to take more drugs then, because if you're in a place like that, that's usually the first thing. You're like, oh, yeah, some drugs might be nice.
I think it's to disarm them as well.
Yeah.
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 I mean, they even use that language to Christian at one point where she said, this is to disarm you and this is to do something else when they're drugging him.
Yeah, to lower your inhibitions.
Yes. Okay,
So-
yeah, that makes perfect sense why why they convince everyone to take drugs right away.
They're not clever. We get it.
I thought the dreaming stuff was weird. I didn't catch it like when she wakes up from the trip and then she runs to the bathroom and she sees a face in the mirror. I didn't realize that face was supposed to be like her parent or her sister. That didn't click because I couldn't see.
Fair.
I told you we should have went downstairs. Like, you didn't let me. Like, we were missing all the stuff. Now that irritates me.
Oh, no, you're just going to have to watch it again.
I know I should have watched it again today, but I'd have to come downstairs. And
I hate to circle back to that beginning tapestry, but now that I'm looking at it again, I also want to bring attention to the third part of it where Pele is leading the students and Danny towards the cult. He is playing a pipe as he's leading them. And there's actually a folklore story, the Pied Piper of Hamelin. And the Pied Piper was hired by the mayor of Hamelin to play his pipe and lead all of the rats out of the city because the rats were carrying the plague. However, he never received payment, so he played his pipe and ended up leading all of the children out of the city and killing them. So the imagery of Pele playing the pipe and the students following him is very interesting, knowing that
I know that story.
I do. I didn't know they killed them. That part of the story was left out as a kid.
Yeah, you
There's-
got to read the full version.
Yeah, there's some speculation about what actually happened. It was actually one of the first recorded historical events in Hamelin. So they think that it may have been, just a death that impacted all the children, or perhaps the piper led them into the sea. But there's a lot of debate about what actually happened and a lot of different versions.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
See, this movie really makes you think, too.
Oh, it really does.
'Cause I could
Especially,
Completely see this happening.
go and watch it again. I know you don't want to.
I don't want to, but I might, to be honest with you. This wasn't as... Like, one thing I do have to say, I was never bored during this movie. I was entertained enough, even though I didn't like what I was watching. I didn't want to turn it off. So, there is that.
I knew it was something you had to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Even though I missed a bunch of stuff, I still, I knew you had to pay attention to it.
Like, when you first get to the town, you have everybody's wearing white. Or all the townsfolk are wearing white. And I'm like, well, that's a little ominous right there, too, that everybody's got white on. The color of purity, which these guys are obviously not pure because they're murdering people. But hey.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's also the longest and hottest summer on record, they said. So you don't wear black in the summer unless you're me.
I don't know. It just kind of seemed the fact that everyone had the same type of robes too. The same attire.
Yeah, they look comfy, though. I will say that.
I think the clothing made everyone very aware of who the outsiders were versus the cult members. So it was easy to identify their targets.
Good call.
That was a good call. There was a scene early on. There's a random woman that Tiff had pointed out that was wearing just a tank top or something. Or no, you said midriff was showing. And I'm assuming that it wasn't Danny. It wasn't Connie. I didn't know. And you never see her again. But there was an extra body in the temple in the end. So I'm assuming that it was someone else that was also brought. They never mentioned that didn't make it out.
No, I think that was somebody coming back from their excursions, much like Pella and Ingmar did.
Okay, but without any sacrifices?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe they didn't bring sacrifices. Maybe they just brought people to hang out, to join.
They didn't kill everybody, did they?
They killed everybody that Ingmar and Pele brought.
Yeah, but they also each did something to upset the cult.
No.
Yes, those that offended the cult were, as I'm sure the cult would put it, brought to justice.
Yeah, because I didn't catch it the first time, but when I was watching a YouTube video, it kind of explained some of that, where it said with Connie and what the hell was the guy's name?
Simon.
Simon go when they freak out in the part that we're about to talk about shortly. Then they won't calm down about it. They offended the cult. Then they go missing.
And they both try to escape too, which if they had escaped and told people what was going on, that would bring attention to the cult that they probably didn't want.
Yeah, because they were too angry about it. They didn't realize, like, maybe we should close our mouths and just kind of, try to go along with what's happening.
And didn't Connie think it was suspicious that they were like, oh, the train station is a half an hour away when it took them like 4 hours to get there?
In a little small car. Yeah. Also, there was a line that I put in the notes that got my attention where I forget. Someone says, oh, the kids are playing Skin the Fool. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, okay. That's not ominous.
No, it's a game. It's a Midsommar game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought they were actually murdering somebody, maybe.
No, it's also foreshadowing, though.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's time for the first installment of Ken Brings to Note Something You May Not Have Caught. Here we go.
I didn't catch most of what you told us so far, so let's go.
After Pella introduces the group to Father Odd, his name was, which is great fucking name. He's going around welcoming everybody. He's like, welcome, welcome. And when he gets to Danny, he says, welcome home. Doesn't say that to anybody else, just to Danny.
I did not.
That is interesting, given what Pele says later when he asks her if Christian feels like home to her. I wonder if he had early correspondence to explain Danny before she arrived.
Oh, I'm sure. I'd put money on it.
I remember when he said that.
Yeah, a lot of little things like that keep happening in the movie.
Oh, all right.
What I'm trying to say is watch it again.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen now.
I should have watched it again.
And I know you have I have in my notes, Pele gives Danny a drawing, which is, again, I thought he was kind of like trying to sleep with her, but I guess what you're saying makes more sense, that he was manipulating her to, join them, essentially.
Didn't they kiss later on, or did they imagine that?
He did kiss her.
They did kiss, yeah.
When she wins the Mayflower thing, he kisses her.
So
May Queen.
Did they purposely let her win that?
I mean, yeah.
Possibly,
probably.
yeah. I think that Pele could have both been manipulating her for self-preservation and thinking about her as a future wife, because the cult was very against incest. So it would make sense that he would try to pursue someone who wasn't in the family lineage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Okay.
I just thought it was weird that a few ways that people got eliminated was like, oh, I bumped into you and I fell down. Now I'm eliminated.
Oh no, I've fallen. Oh shit.
I'm testing something. Don't worry.
It's like, I can't hear anything for a second.
And then this is also when you have, like, you see that tapestry for the first time, the one that shows her cutting her pubes and putting it into the pie.
Well, it's the picking the flowers, putting them under the pillow, cutting the pubes off, putting them in something you eat, and menstruating into a cup, into a drink.
And then it shows like somebody like
falling in love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Falling in love, coming under one spell.
Yeah.
And man, it was really handy for that to just be hanging around.
But didn't they like literally show it to them?
Yeah.
Like, let's
Pele walks over and shows it to them.
Let's see the story.
He shows it to Simon and Connie, though.
Oh,
he didn't show it to the people that are about to get affected by it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. I did not catch that.
And we do, in fact, later see that everyone has a beverage, and Christian's is decidedly more pink than everybody else's.
Yeah, Mike mentioned that.
Yeah, I caught that. I'm like, that's...
And Christian does find flowers under his pillow.
I'm sure the drink tasted differently. So.
Christian just had pink lemonade and everybody else had lemonade. That's really all it was.
Just an extra.
His definitely tasted like pennies.
They see the house they're staying at, and you have the small moment where he tries to not be an ass. Like, oh, here's your birthday cake. I didn't forget it's your birthday. I just got confused.
I thought it was yesterday, but the light it never got dark, so you never knew that it changed a day, like they mentioned just a little bit before.
And I really like that the movie does that. It really plays a lot with time and how time is not working right for them. So they're disoriented the entire movie, which really I think allows for most of the things to happen here.
That's fair. And it's right after this is when you start getting to the first weird really weird shit. This is where you have where they go to the table and you have all the scene with the elders chanting and just they're eating like weird food. It looked like too. It looked like they were eating like smashed up weeds.
Yummy.
It looked very strange.
Salad?
Yeah, the salad didn't look like a normal salad to me. I also don't eat salad.
I mean, you can eat like stuff that I ate dandelions before. It was yummy.
Arguably, Swedish cuisine is not quite the same as ours.
Plus, wasn't like the meat look like it was rotting all the time, or was that just me?
That might have been just you.
Okay,
I thought it all looked great. I was like, I want to go.
I was always thinking it was going to be people.
I mean, they do have some fermented dishes in Sweden.
I unplugged myself for a second, so I didn't hear anything.
We mentioned that Sweden does indeed have some fermented dishes.
Okay.
Which Mike would probably never eat.
No.
Because he doesn't even like egg salad.
Nope.
You haven't had lutefisk?
Oh, God, don't mention that to me. How dare you?
I don't eat that because my grandmother made it every Christmas, and I just couldn't even stand the smell of it. So I'm also Swedish.
Oh,
partially.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to any small towns.
No, let's not do that.
And this is when the movie first gets really freaky again for the first time in this place, where it's been kind of happy and everybody's been drugged up all the time. This is when you have them. They bring them to the cliff, and you have the elders standing on the top of the cliff. And I know, this ain't going to end well, because earlier Pele makes a comment. He's like, okay, we do this from this age. We're
72.
And then 72. We're a mentor till 72. And what happens after 72? And he just smiles at them and doesn't say anything.
Not to stoop on.
And this is, and like, you just see the part where they put the blood on the runes. I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what's coming when they cut their hands and then, touch the stones. And then you see the woman jump off, and the way her face hits that rock and the way they show it, just,
I can handle blood and gore, but I can't handle stuff like that. I'm just like, I don't know why I can't handle stuff like that. Especially when they smashed the old man's head in.
Yes, when he jumps and fails.
And they had to keep doing that. Oh, here, it's your turn. And it's your turn.
I mean, he was dead after the first one.
Keep going.
I mean, there's no question after his face was putty, like, he's done. But the point of that, too, felt like they had to give more of a reason for Connie and them to get upset because, the fact that, they commit suicide is one thing, but then when they go and smash his face with a hammer and 3 people each take a turn to smashing his face, like, that was to add more to the brutality to it and, like, the unsettlingness, I felt.
Sure, okay.
One made sure. I could tell you right there, he was done.
All right. I'm going to play devil's advocate on this because I think it's actually a pretty cool concept. I like the idea of not ending your life in misery.
So I agree with you. I'll let you continue, but I agree with you.
Well, thank you for letting me continue.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say I agree with you.
I don't think the hammer blows were done as a brutality thing. I think they were done as a mercy thing. Because did you see his legs? You don't heal from that.
No, he had to die.
Yeah, and they did it, I think, the most humane, efficient way possible. They didn't cut his throat and make it bleed out. They didn't, poison him and have him racked with pain. They just bopped him on the head like you would a cow.
Okay, fair.
And I think the 3 was the ritual amount of times you have to do it to make sure.
That's fair, too. Okay.
So the age, I agree with the age thing because I work with seniors and I see them live to 100, past 100, and they suffer. And the whole concept of accepting that they live to 72 and they accept, they take their life in their own hands. I kind of respect that. And I don't like seeing my residents suffer like that and not knowing when they're going to live or die. And so I kind of respect that. You know what I mean?
I'd rather take a bullet. I ain't jumping off a cliff. I hate heights to begin with. Like, nah.
And I have to say right now. So.
I believe there was a reason that the woman jumped to her death head first and the man foot first. I don't think that he made a mistake when he jumped, especially if they had seen this ritual get performed over and over again. I don't know the reason why he would jump foot first. My inclination is that it was a familial thing for the other cult members to kill him. However, I definitely can't watch that and say, oh, he just slipped. I truly do think that it was intentional. I just don't know what the intention was.
I think the way he jumped was intentional. I don't think he meant to glance off the side of the rock. Because if he would have hit that head on, like just feet first, he would have been fine. Like, he would have been dead, no doubt.
Yeah, because it would have crushed his body.
Yeah, his shin bones would have shot through his skull. But he
I agree with you.
hit the side of it. That might have been the mistake, maybe. Because he looked as surprised as everybody.
He kind of like ricocheted. I don't think that was meant to happen.
No, because
I do think the feet first was intentional, though.
Yes.
But I don't know why.
I mean, it gotta be hard to drop off face first, though, like to your death. Like, that's gotta be just...
Because it wasn't high enough to just kill them on impact.
Again, I hate heights, so I can't even think of the idea of jumping to my death, so...
I beg to differ. I think that's plenty high enough to kill you on impact if you hit something hard.
I unfortunately know more about that than I should because of one of my previous jobs, and yeah, no, that's high enough.
If you hit something hard, but if you just jump and hit the ground, I don't think...
I mean, someone jumped off the third floor of the MOA parking lot and the parking structure and died.
But that's not as...
No, it wasn't the fourth floor, maybe. It was one of the guys I worked with said he actually, when he worked there, it happened to somebody, and he was telling us about it. He's like, yeah, so...
That little boy was thrown off.
No, not him. There was someone else.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
He was thrown off.
No, but someone else jumped off the parking structure. But
Sorry,
it truly doesn't take a whole lot to pop our, meat bags, to be honest. It doesn't take a whole lot of height. We're pretty fragile.
Yes, we are.
All right. If there's a year-end Games My Mom Found reward, I want Pop My Meat Bags to be in the running for best quote.
Yes. I didn't mean to laugh. I was laughing at that phrase, Pop.
The phrase is funny, okay? Like, I mean, she's also not wrong. It doesn't take a whole lot to kill us.
I didn't mean to
We're not
laugh
that.
at the statement. I was laughing at the phrase.
See, this is why there's a disclaimer in the open this episode, even though I almost forgot. That's why it's there, because...
You didn't say it soon enough.
We didn't get to the dark stuff yet.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, keep telling me how funny I am. I really like it. Thank you.
You are funny.
Come on.
I'm making it easy, okay?
No, I'm trying to look it up on Google, like the minimum distance to jump to death. And I look it up on Google and it says, help is available. Speak with someone today. Like, I'm a writer.
You should have known that I was going to give you that. Please call
You're gonna
this
get
number
a call.
if you feel like...
He's going to get some phone calls now.
And it immediately wanted to know my location.
No.
You have your location on, that might not be good.
So we hear a knock while we're recording. We know why now. Huh?
We're going to hear a knock. Hello, it's the police.
Do you need help, sir?
I'm just recording a podcast about a movie where they jump to death.
If it happens, I'm not going to mute it.
I'm okay with that too, actually.
Please don't. What an interesting twist for a podcast to have.
I also didn't really think about this part until later. Again, I think I was trying not to think about this movie after I watched it at 9:30 at night. Was trying to go to bed, but I couldn't help but think about it. The part when Christian, who doesn't know what to write his thesis on, which is brought up throughout the movie, all of a sudden he's like, "I'm going to write my thesis on this cult, just like you are, Josh." And I don't know enough about thesis. I don't know much about these, but I'm assuming you're not supposed to supposed to be something unique, not copying your friend.
Oh God.
I mean, you can write your thesis about anything. Is it a shit dick move to copy your friend who's right there? Absolutely.
Oh, huge dick move. Like,
especially
honestly,
I think it's something that's kind of a smaller subject. Like, one thing we're going to discuss the way New York was brought up, something like that.
Well, especially because he was more depth. He was going to go to Europe and he was studying it longer and he just was like one day, I'm going to do it on this cult. Yeah.
And he wasn't even writing anything either.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ken.
I was just going to say they make a huge deal about how he doesn't even know what he's going to do throughout the entire movie. And then he's like, oh, okay, no, I'm going to do it here. I'm going to do it in this thing that you're also doing it on. Like,
well, I think, so Chidi, I'm sorry. What is his name again? It's Josh, right?
Yeah.
I think it is. Yes, it'll always be Chidi. I think it's hilarious that Christian's friends were so mean to Danny and watched Christian be an absolute asshole to her over and over again. And then Josh is like surprised Pikachu when Christian is an asshole to him.
Again, you are funny.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much goaded him on in his mistreatment of her. And then they're like, oh my God, you mean you're a mean person? Holy crap, that is so surprising. I would never have guessed.
My, how the turntables.
Exactly.
I mean, they just show you how much of an asshole he is throughout this more and more.
Oh, like, y'all don't even know, though. So this is as good a time as any to bring it up. There is 2 versions of this movie. There is the theatrical version, which y'all watched, and I watched. And then there is also a director's cut, which is sold exclusively on Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray through A24. And it adds about 22 minutes back into the movie. And most of that is Christian being a piece of shit. And a big thing that they added in here was to this fight between Josh and Christian, and how Josh is like, look, I've had to help you through everything. You didn't even know how to use JSTOR when you were here, and you're a grad student, which A, JSTOR burns, always quality, but B, like, Josh has been helping him through the entirety of grad school. So I'm really surprised Christian did not get his ass beat.
Who would have won?
Later he did.
Scenario?
Oh, later.
That's fair.
But like, ooh, I was, as somebody who's had experience in academia, I just wanted to slap the patchy facial hair off Christian. Just, ooh, I wanted to punch him. I'm okay.
He's such a piece of shit, though.
Take a breath.
And then this is, I put Danny's upset in my notes. I don't remember what she was upset about, but probably because Christian's an asshole. And then you have the burning the bodies. Because they burn the elders' bodies.
You're right.
Oh.
Danny is upset. Danny is upset because of the Stupan. And the big thing that I really wanted to talk about before we run away from that is the way they shot it. Because Danny realizes what's happening a split second before they jump. Good for her. And as soon as that lady hits the rock, they go back to Danny, and you can see the background just starts becoming blurred while she remains in focus. And I was just like, ooh, that is a great way to show dissociation.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And it
And
happens. Shock. Yeah. And it happens with when the guy gets hit, every time the hammer thumps into his head, like you see the background behind her pulses with every hit. So I was like, ooh, this is absolutely how you illustrate breaking down somebody's mental state.
That's cool. God damn, you're going to make me watch this movie again.
You see Connie and Simon yelling, but their voices are extremely distorted.
Oh, yeah. 100% shock.
Oh.
Kind of starts wailing like she did when she found out her parents and her sister were dead.
Yeah.
Well, death will do that to you if you're not used to it.
Especially that way.
And it's also, so that happens, and then she begs Christian to leave, and he's like, no, I'm cool with what just happened, and I want to stay now. Which they just saw this very brutal act of violence. I mean, even if the violence had a purpose to the cult, it is violence. And knowing that she had just gone through what she had with her sister and her parents, he said, no, I'm going to keep you in this violent atmosphere where you're going to be reminded of death frequently because I want to be here and I will not allow you to leave without me.
Ew.
Yes,
Ew.
Christian, when you really analyze his behavior, it goes so deep into mental and emotional abuse.
Oh, big time. And there's more stuff in the director's cut, a lot more gaslighting. And Christian, they cut this out of the theatrical movie, and it's a bummer because it's such an important thing. Because Danny gives him a bundle of flowers at some point, supposedly the day after her birthday. Do you guys remember that? He gets like a bunch of flowers from Danny. That was in the theatrical.
Doesn't she picks them for him?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. She picks him for Christian. And they cut out a scene afterwards that night where he's freaking out because he's like, well, you just picked me a bunch of flowers the day after I forget your birthday. What am I supposed to do with that? You know, how am I supposed to make that up to you now? Like, he views their relationship as a transactional one, which
So
is
he's
just,
Sheldon.
He's gross. Yeah, Sheldon's disgusting. And that show's trash. I don't know why you watch it, but
I've only watched it 3 times, sir. That's all.
now it's my turn to gag. Sweet.
And then this is around the time when you also have the the girl puts the love rune underneath his bed.
Mm-hmm.
So that, again, I was like, following the thing. I'm like, well, yeah, it definitely was pink lemonade that he had. So, and you had a scene that I knew was going to end badly for the guy. This is right around the time when you have the dumbass Will Poulter character who ends up pissing on that tree. And I was thinking the scene, like, why don't he just walk off to wherever the bathroom is? Like, why just piss on a tree?
Pee on a tree. You can just pee in the open on the meadow.
Or just go in the woods?
There is no woods.
There was some wood somewhere.
An open meadow everywhere.
Well, then go to the damn bathroom.
Look, Mike, I can explain this for you really simply. Because Mark's an American. He don't need permission to piss nowhere. Yeah.
That's fair.
Agreed.
Like I said it at the beginning of the episode. He is that American tourist.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, I got nothing else. But I was like, I knew it was over for him. After he did that, I'm like, yeah, he's dead. Like, there was no question. I'm like, he's dead. And because the guy just freaks the fuck out because he just pissed on. I mean, because earlier you see them put the ashes of the dead bodies into the tree. I'm like, the tree is holy. You know, it has meaning, and he just pisses on it.
Yep. Yeah, Ulf does not take that well. That's his character's name, Ulf.
Oh yeah, they get really mad. This is right around the time. The next scene after this is when you see that Simon is missing and Connie's all upset.
Yep.
Because Simon traveled in that little car that could only fit 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I mean, good foreshadowing. Because this is, I mean, I kind of figure like, things are going to start getting bad here soon. I'm like, things are not going to end well for these people. When Simon goes missing, and then you see a part with Connie, and then you never see Connie again.
Is that when you hear the woman or someone screaming?
It's somewhere around this part. You hear a woman screaming, and they don't ever acknowledge it.
In this movie?
Yeah.
In the director's cut, they do have an explanation for what happens.
What's their explanation?
They cut out an entire nighttime ceremony where a child was being offered up to the river as a sacrifice. And then they were like, oh no, let him be. He has proved his bravery. And, this is apparently some whole scripted thing. But that night is when Connie's taken. And that's also the night that Christian and Danny have their big argument about the flowers.
Okay.
So, yeah, they cut that out completely. And in the end, when you see Connie's body, she's wearing the same robe that the little kid was wearing. So she was absolutely offered up to the river in his place.
All of the deaths were, well, I shouldn't say all. Connie, Simon, Mark, and Josh each had elemental deaths.
I did not catch that.
I did.
So you have Connie of the river, and then they played Skin the Fool with Mark, and they stuffed him with hay, which we know is very flammable. We have Chidi, who was planted into the earth, and then we have Simon, who they performed a blood eagle on him. And with the blood eagle, I would argue was the worst death of them.
Yes.
Because he was still alive.
Because he was still alive, which, I mean, it could have been Christian, hallucinating due to the drugs, or the fact that he was still breathing despite, his ribs being cracked open and rearranged to, form the blood eagle. So his would represent air.
Okay. And it's just terrible to think they did that to people back then.
So there's not a whole lot of proof that actually happened. That may very well just be a myth.
Okay.
Yep.
I know they did terrible things to people when they killed people in the past.
They still do, Mike.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you.
No, I know.
We're still horrible.
Yeah, killing a
cooked
person
in oil
is
for
terrible.
the king. So there's that. I hate that for some reason.
How do you know that?
Because we don't really have any kings. Okay, we do have kings in different places. So yeah, that probably does happen. So, but at least it's not on a TV show called The Tudors that I watch.
They have cult leaders that could act as kings.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, we may not have monarchy, but we certainly have social class, and we still have gang violence and stuff like that.
Which largely stems from social class.
Exactly.
Yeah, socioeconomic terrorism happens every day.
Mikey, are you depressed yet?
I am, yes.
Good. Doing our job.
That's what we were going for.
Probably depressed before. So.
Yes, but it's not helping. But it's all right. And then you have this is when I feel like this scene was also important when they bring Danny in. They have Danny start helping with the cooking to kind of start getting her associated with the other women that are there, and kind of more to take her away from her group that's slowly starting to miss, because Mark is still here. This is not because this hasn't happened yet. It's shortly when Mark and Josh are about to go missing, because then the next part you have is when Josh is talking with the guy in charge of the church with the book. Mm-hmm. And he talks about the oracles, and he talks about the fact that, like, they do inbreeding to make the oracle. And then he's like, "Oh, can I take a picture?" And he's like, "No." I like how he just closes the book right when he says that.
Yeah, we really should talk about Ruben. I love Ruben as a character because he literally adds nothing to the movie. He's just there to make people uncomfortable.
Oh, Ruben's the oracle?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's fair. I mean, that's kind of what it does. It's to make you, like, question, like, and also the idea that they, are putting somebody through that type of thing too, like on purpose.
Well, Ruben is the prophet. He's the one who interprets their scripture called the Ruby Rotter. And it is a living document. They have hundreds of volumes of it. And, oh boy, they have to get somebody unclouded by normal cognition. That's a bad phrase.
Yeah, no, it's a fucked up scene too.
So they have these very strong taboos against incest, except when it comes to their oracles, which they are very careful about the incest practice that will produce the best oracle.
Which, I mean, kinda yay? Kinda?
Not sure I would ever say yay to that.
I mean, like, they're not a great cult, but at least they don't do incest all the time?
Yeah.
That's why it's the yay part, I think.
Small yay?
No yay.
They have selective incest, and that's what you're saying? Selective incest? Okay, so that's...
Yeah.
Ooh!
Because they're not always piece of shit, only sometimes.
Selective incest, that's good.
I mean, that's better than letting it run wild.
Selective yay.
Also, every cult controls sexuality, so that also kind of fits with it, too, that they control who they can mate with.
Yeah.
I'm watching a lot of stuff on cults lately, too, so, in general.
Because of this?
No, just because I do. I like documentaries about cults.
Well, then, I don't know why you didn't want to watch this. This is right up your alley.
Yeah, but you see in the documentaries, they don't show people getting murdered.
They insinuate it.
They insinuate, yes, but they don't show it.
To be fair, they don't really show it here.
There was enough. No, I was on board for this movie. I actually was excited to watch this. It was during the movie that I got creeped out. So, this is when you have the time for supper, and you have, Mark and Josh, everyone's still there. And this is when Christian finds the hair in the pie that we mentioned earlier. And this is when Will Powder, like, I knew he was dead when the girl comes up to him. She's like, "Here, follow me. He just goes with her. Like, you just pissed on their sacred tree. Like, oh, hey, let's go leave the group and go with this random girl. Nothing bad could happen. Ooh, sex. Yeah. And then you never see him. Well, you do see him again, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
So I didn't completely understand what was... So the next scene is you have them... The nighttime comes and Josh sneaks off to go and start taking pictures of the scriptures. And I was expecting... Because you have, like, that mirror in the room. And I was, like, expecting something to appear on the other side of the mirror at first. Mm-hmm. And then... But instead, you just have... his buddy Mark shows up. And then you find out... And I'm like, wait a second. That's not Mark. And you just see, like, some guy wearing Mark's face.
So Ari Aster has confirmed in interviews that it is Ulf who is wearing Mark's skin. The guy who freaked out about the pissing on the tree, he's the one who killed and skinned Mark.
I thought it was the Oracle.
No, Ruben's sleeping in the bed the entire time.
Yeah, they show him in a scene while, and then Chidi is hit with a hammer and killed.
But who hits him?
They never say.
No, but again, this is where Ari Aster confirmed in interviews it was Pella.
Really?
Oh, Pella killed his friend?
Yep.
Damn, okay then.
That's disturbing.
We thought that Christian was the worst friend.
Well, I mean, Pella orchestrated all of this.
I was gonna say, are they really friends? Like, really?
No, I would argue no.
I mean, it's the same idea. Are you friends with the pig that you're raising for harvest? I mean, that's kind of what they were doing here. So. I mean, the same idea. I mean, they weren't going to eat them, but they were the same thing. They were just being used to be slaughtered.
Wow, that's fucking dark, man.
I know.
Finally getting to you. I love it.
Okay, this is when things start getting really interesting, I thought, because I kind of could tell like there was going to start be a change. This is when Christian goes off to a house randomly, and Danny is being taken, because only Danny and Christian are left. You have the whole scenes where they're upset that Mark and Josh are missing. The book, in quotations, is missing. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's the one thing that Christian says, which I almost cried laughing about.
Oh, what?
I don't know what happened to your book, but I think it's important to say that we are in no way associated with him. Like, trying to save that thesis so hard.
So stupid. Like,
oh my God, I laughed so hard.
Like, where do you think they went? You're in the middle of nowhere. Like, you probably can't walk to, I mean, like, you don't have any cell phone signal. I doubt they have a compass on them. How the hell are they even going to get out of there and get anywhere?
Well, the entrance is marked by a big old sun, and it looked like there was a path that they walked to get there. So
Okay, but but if you stole a book, would you just run out the front door? I mean, if you stole the original, like some original holy texture, you're not just going to run out the front door.
I mean,
Someone's
if you
gonna murder
want to
you.
steal it, that's exactly what you're going to do.
I think you'd run out the woods.
Run where, though?
I mean, they do have cars.
Yeah.
Not many. They got one.
They got to run back to their cars.
I don't know. I was like, okay, I just thought it was just confusing that, and he wasn't even worried that his friends were missing. Like, he doesn't even care. But again, he's getting drugged up constantly, too.
Yeah.
But he's a piece of shit, too, so I guess that goes along with it.
Yeah.
I don't care about what's happening to him.
I don't think you're supposed to. You're supposed to not like him. And they do a good job of that. I just felt like it was kind of like really seeing the disassociation of what was going on, like where Danny is being more and more brought into the cult, and where she's taken with the other women wearing flowers at this point, and then this is when Christian is brought into the room with the woman that's kind of in charge of the place and saying, "Oh, you've been allowed to mate with that redhead." And I do like how he looks at an image of a bear on is it a bear on fire that he looks at? Yeah. Oh, and earlier they do have that random part when they just see a bear in a cage. They're like, "What's that?" And the guy's like, "It's a bear," and that's it. There's no other conversation, nothing. Just it's a bear.
I mean, what did he think it was? It's a bear.
I mean, I would have been like, "Oh, it's a bear."
Cue the special meme from Mickey Mouse Playhouse. That's a special tool that'll help us later.
Yep, that is fair. Oh, and then you have like the whole Mayflower dance starts where Danny's dancing, and I do agree now that because I wasn't like that they did let her win on purpose because like what Tiffany brought up, like there is one point where a girl just runs into her and like throws up and like vanishes, and they drugged her up too before. Yeah. They drug everyone up before.
Stamina, they said.
I'll make you.
Well, that comes later.
They didn't drug her up for this part.
No, they drugged Danny, but Christian's herbal Viagra comes later.
Oh yeah.
But didn't they drug all the girls?
Yeah, they drug all the girls before the dance. We have that weird woman that looked like she should have been in the Handmaid's Tale show who gives them the tea.
I think that's what he meant. They drugged all the girls.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
They're drugging people constantly in this.
Yeah. Well, look, microdosing is effective in dealing with emotional trauma. And I'm sure that that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they carry off Danny because Danny wins the dance, which I think was on purpose. As I said, I'm pretty sure it was on purpose. Oh, and then it's just kind of like weird. Like this is when you have Pele kisses her too, and they're marching her along and bringing her to the table, and they have her sit at the front of the table, which I thought was odd too.
She's the May Queen. Why is that odd? She won.
It's odd to me. And does she eat the fish they give her? That raw fish?
She tries.
She eats everything that they give her.
I just was like, what the fuck? I don't know. I can't think of the idea of eating a fish raw like that.
I mean, a lot of cultures eat fish raw. So.
Yeah, I know, but I just can't. Ugh. I like fish, but ugh.
Man, I want sushi now.
I can't eat. Well, that at least looks better than eating the freaking fish with the skin on, the tail on, the eyes on. So
it was a big fish.
So
wonders.
I didn't want to interrupt Tiff.
Oh, you're fine. Please go.
So there are 3 steps to gaining control of someone's mind that cults use frequently. These are unfreezing, changing, and refreezing. Unfreezing means breaking a person down. Changing is when the indoctrination is introduced, and refreezing means building someone's new cult identity. So I think that the May Queen, that whole ceremony was part of the refreezing, trying to indoctrinate Danny into believing that she is a very important figure to the rest of the cult.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
After being treated as if she's unimportant by Christian, I think she was a really good target for everyone. And I think that's probably what Pele communicated ahead of time, is that this is going to be our queen because, look, she has no identity right now. She lost her entire family unit. She has nothing going for her except this shitty boyfriend. It'll be really easy to show her the support that she has not gotten and convince her to stay.
Okay. I mean, that is, yeah. Oh, there's also a documentary on Netflix that's on right now called The Cult's Playbook that talks about different cult leaders and stuff. It's good. Narrated by Peter Dinklage, too, so it's really good.
You know, I can't watch stuff about cults because it freaks me out too much.
I get that.
Yeah, this fictional movie, sure, fine. But real cult stuff, it makes me feel really sick to my stomach.
No, I completely can understand. There's been a couple things where I've had to turn off documentaries. I'm like, I can't do this. There was one that I brought up before, a reenactment of when the the nuclear goes off in Japan, not Hiroshima, but when the power plant goes, and there was a scene in there with some, and I just like, nope, I'm done, turned it right off, and never went back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hit me too a few times with stuff where I'm like, no, this is too, like, I know this happened to someone, now I'm like, nope, I'm done. Mm-hmm. So I get that 100%. I mean, luckily, most documentaries I watch they skip over stuff, or they make it less terrible in the way, like, I don't see it, but yeah, no, some of that stuff is just disturbing, and this movie really kind of makes me think more about that. Like, it's following so many cues of what cults do all the time to people. Like, you know, they do kind of like love bombing to her too.
Oh yeah.
So it's a fucking dark movie.
It really is, but it's gonna get darker.
It is eerie how everything takes place in the sun too. Like, you guys brought that up before we watched this like a year ago, I think. Or somebody brought it up. Like, yeah, it's almost the entire movie's in the sun, which adds to creepiness in a way. This is when you have Christian starts tripping because they give him the drink and say, this will help you. This will take down your defenses, and he just drinks it. I mean, if somebody gave me a drink and said this is going to take down your defenses, and my friends have gone missing, I'm not drinking it. I got news for you. I mean, Mark and Josh just go missing. He doesn't even care. He's just like, oh, we're not associated with them. Even though we came here, I've been living with them, not associated with them.
But at this point, he's been constantly drugged. Does he realize that they just haven't gone somewhere? Does he realize they're really missing?
He's also a shitty friend.
Yeah.
I have I'm not associated with him.
I just can't get over that. Like, what the fuck?
Maybe he just doesn't care.
Yeah, that could be possible too. Or maybe he doesn't even comprehend the fact that people are being murdered around you. Like, people just don't go missing like that in a small town.
Like I said, he doesn't care, and he's been constantly.
Yeah, and they do come off really friendly.
It's surprising that they would watch these deaths of the elders and then be like, wow, I wonder where my friends went. Like, you guys saw a dude get his head bashed in by the whole cult. What do you mean your friends are lost? You're not going to go check on them? That doesn't strike you as potentially being a dangerous situation?
And they was their car still there?
They had to walk to the village.
Oh, yeah.
So they had to leave their cars behind.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure because there's the one part where Danny's dreaming and she sees them get in the car and drive off and laugh at her. But
that's just Danny.
Yeah, that's how I took it too. But I couldn't. I was like, wait, the car nearby? Like, maybe like this is the point where you should get in your car and leave.
Yeah, no, car is not nearby.
They left it at the side of the road.
Yeah, they left it earlier when they go drink the mushroom tea and do the whole first tripping out and then walk there. Which again makes sense. You want to make sure that you have everybody's escape plan far away from them.
Probably can't remember how to get to it.
No. I also never taken mushroom, but I'm assuming mushrooms hit you a lot harder than taking an edible. So,
look, the CGI that they did with the backgrounds constantly whirling and undulating, that's pretty fucking close to mushrooms.
I can believe that.
Like, I've been there, I've done them, and it's kind of trippy watching it. Once you know that sensation of watching this movie, you're like, oh man, they did a good job here.
Makes sense. I mean, it also fits. Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. I can wait.
I was going to say I can't confirm or deny that I've ever tried them, but if I had tried them, what I would have done is sat down and watched Disney's Descendants 2 and had a really great time.
But isn't in Sweden, aren't all drugs legal anyway?
No.
Is that
no.
Sweden has very strict laws against marijuana. It's not allowed whatsoever.
Okay.
It's a fairly conservative culture. There aren't many drugs allowed.
That is true.
Okay,
Sweden is very conservative.
So I was thinking if it was a country where drugs are freer, so that's why they're all just like, okay, let's go, get high because because there are countries I know in Europe that are freer about it, but
you're thinking of Amsterdam.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
I also feel like Norway might be a little more free with their drugs. One of those other Scandinavian countries, either Norway or Finland, one of them is a lot more free than Sweden.
Because if it's that illegal, I wouldn't be comfortable. But that's how I am. But I get it. You're in the middle of nowhere.
Here's the official word on narcotics from the Swedish government. The Swedish penal law on narcotics criminalizes the use, possession, purchase, sale, and transfer of drugs. The punishment for a drug offense is imprisonment for up to 3 years, and the punishment for a minor drug offense is a substantial fine.
Oh, damn. So this whole town would be locked up, huh? Yeah.
They have their own rules.
Yeah, that's why they're out in the middle of nowhere.
And they probably don't care.
It helps when you're a cult to keep people away from you. It's in the playbook. They said in that documentary. All right, and then you have Danny gets in the carriage, which really made me think of Cinderella for some reason. I don't have a good answer to that, but that's what went through my head. Was Cinderella. Oh, who was burying meat in the ground?
Oh, I know this, actually. That's actually a nature fertility rite.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought of as well. Sorry.
You're right.
The eggs, it's all to signify a quote-unquote sacrifice of food to the earth to help grow more food.
Okay. Yeah, and I knew what was coming, because you see Christian get up and just leave the table at one point, too. I'm like, yep, I know where he's going.
Yep, he gone bone.
And was it the drugs, or was it just him being an asshole?
He was drugged. He was drugged, and he was also lured away, and while drugged, taken advantage of. So I think we should be very clear that Christian was sexually abused.
Yeah.
Yes.
It does show it when he does finally, when the drugs wear off.
Now, while he did consent to it talking to Civ, he did not consent to the method. He did not consent to the situation. So, yeah, that's still non-consent.
Yeah, that's still sexual assault. It's a fucked up scene, too. Like, when they lead him to the house and they're having the ritual sex, everything is just very weird.
It's terrifying, and you can see the terror on his face as well. It's not like he's there as a willing participant. You can tell that he is not into this. And it's a scary situation to walk into a room where you're completely outnumbered and outmatched.
And not only that, the room where your friend was just killed the night before.
God, is it the same room?
Yeah, it's where the Ruby Router's stored.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Okay, that's even more fucked up.
And Ari Aster continuing his streak of having creepy old naked people in a movie.
That is a thing. He does that. He did that in Hereditary too.
Oh yeah.
And it's another movie we watched where the nudity wasn't sexy in any shape or form or meant to be.
Yeah, no.
Under the Skin. There's a couple other movies that we watched where they had nudity, but it wasn't meant to be sexy.
Or even if it was.
I'm not. I'm just stating a fact. I'm not actually upset. I'm not at all. I'm just stating a fact because they just come up multiple times in this podcast now. I'm like, oh wow, coincidences. Under the Skin, always I think of that because like you have Scarlett Johansson naked and it's not meant to be sexy and it's not sexy and that so that's kind of just with this like it wasn't meant to be sexy. I think that's I like when movies put nudity in it in a way to convey something and not just convey sex.
I think here it portrays more of a stripped down vulnerability for Christian.
Yeah,
because after he's done doing the thing, which it gets really odd. Like you get emotional mirroring from the cult members. Absolutely a brainwashy thing. Like that is definitely how you get people going through the cult indoctrination. You mirror their emotions back to them. That will come up again shortly. But after they're done, Christian runs out and he's, hiding himself. He's very concerned with what just happened.
Yeah, because also the drugs have worn off and the effect is hitting him now for real. What happened?
Yeah, like he is not happy.
I think it's extremely sad that, well, I don't know if this happened in the director's cut, but Christian and Danny didn't get to speak after what Danny watched. So from her point of view, what she saw was him actively participating in cheating on her. But she didn't get the full story before she said, we're going to burn him in the bear suit.
Yeah, no, they don't speak for the last 25 minutes of the film.
Oh, damn.
They don't talk like after the maypole. From the maypole forward, they don't talk.
Which is what they wanted.
That symbolizes their complete and total disconnection. Well, not even symbolizes. That's the point.
Plus everything else that happens to him after that scene, like after he runs off, he sees his friend's dead foot sticking out of the ground. Then he runs into the room and finds the other guy skinned. Yep. And like, I don't know. I feel like the only solution in there would have been to start running back to your car. But
and then one of the villagers hits him with that pocket sand and puts him out.
Yeah.
And I don't care. You could tell me it's drugs or some kind of paralytic. I don't care. Dude pulled it out of his pocket, blew it in his face. It's pocket sand.
But also when Danny goes to the house to check and sees where the woman tries to that's not for us, but doesn't really stop her. She doesn't try to stop her, doesn't try to change her mind, just, makes the one effort once to make it seem like she wants to stop her. But at the same time, she's like, no, we want you to see this.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that kind of hit me too. Like, cause they're manipulating her and this is what they need. So, if you tell a person once, like, not to do something, there's a good chance they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So they act like they didn't care.
It's the Willy Wonka thing. When he's sitting there and Mike TV jumps on the platform, he's like, no, wait, stop. You're not even trying.
No. I mean, they didn't make it as obvious as Willy Wonka, but no. Like, it's...
it was kind of...
I didn't take it as obvious.
It wasn't very forceful as, no, you shouldn't go there.
That's not for us. What
she said you should. Did she say it's not for us? I
could have sworn she said it's not for us.
For you.
Or not for,
yeah, she said it's not for you.
Okay.
Yeah. And it wasn't very forceful, and she didn't try to stop her. She didn't physically try to stop her.
No.
Like, she didn't touch her or anything, or grab her.
Or try to encourage her to go off with them.
It was one time, very quiet, that's not for you, and then she stopped.
Yeah, because she wanted her to. Which I was confused. I'm like, why would you want her to see this? Because this is going to help, show kind of what fucked up things are happening here, but at the same time, then it clicks because you want her to make the choice to sacrifice, to disconnect any part of her life before the cult.
And for a second, I didn't know which choice. I mean, I assumed it was going to be Christian, but I was kind of on the edge of my seat.
I mean, there weren't a lot of choices left. Everyone's gone. Everyone's already dead.
Well, didn't she have the choice between the villager?
I think so.
And Christian?
Yeah, a villager who's never done anything to her.
Yes.
Or Christian.
Yes. I know. I knew it was going to be Christian, but I wasn't sure, okay?
It was also,
I wasn't sure. Don't judge me, okay?
It was also a lottery for the cult member. So it wasn't like she could choose. They did it by lottery. So she is, she could kill anyone there, even the children. How would she know? Like, exactly.
So why would she do that? I don't know why I was thinking that. Stop. Tiffany, why?
How could you, Tiffany?
How could I? Oh my God.
Get it together, okay?
Right? Such an awful person.
You are not at all. So
judgment-free zone here, all right? We're like Planet Fitness.
It's also a movie, so this is fictional.
I knew in my heart, but I was like, is she going to? Will she kill him? Will she kill a villager? I don't know.
I mean, killing a villager, I don't think they're that innocent beside the kids. So
I think you wanted that to happen.
I wanted that to happen?
I think you did. I think you wanted her to kill a villager so that there was still some hope for her and Christian to get out of here.
Maybe. I wanted her to... I don't think I wanted Christian to leave. I think I wanted her to leave.
I did, for sure.
Because if she doesn't...
sacrificing the villager gave her a chance to leave. Maybe in my mind I thought that. I don't care about Christian.
Right, because at that point it's not a sin. It's self-defense if she kills the villager. But if she chooses to kill Christian, well, then she's sinned.
And she's stuck there. She's stuck there then?
I mean, she's stuck there anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't get to leave after you see all this stuff.
I know. Maybe in my mind, I thought if she chose it. See, that's a good point. I don't know. You know what I think.
When you're in a cult
I do.
and you see this, you don't leave.
No, I know, but he knows what I think better than I do.
Also, Ken, you might know the name of this. I can't remember. We're going to get a little dark, so I'm just going to... there's an actual cult that was based off the Mormons. They're not I think the Latter-day Saints. They had another name for them. The guy got arrested, the leader. It's still around. It's in, I think it's in Texas now.
Oh, the Branch Davidians?
Yes.
Yeah, that was from Waco.
I thought the Waco was something...
No, Waco was the Branch Davidians.
Okay, but just one guy, David Christian. But there's another whole group that's still around. I thought it might be the Branch Davidians, too. Might be another division of them that didn't break off.
There well could be, yeah.
I can't remember the guy's name. I just know he's in prison and will never get out because he's a piece of shit. But that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say what things he's done. But Tiffany had brought up about how when you see them all in the robes, how it reminded her of that. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're not wrong because
they all have the same.
Yeah, you didn't even watch that documentary. I won't have you watch that.
The women have the same hairstyle. The women were all
that's what he did to his people, and he told them how their salvation was going to happen and all that crap. But
I didn't even watch this.
No, you won't. I won't have you watch. There's certain things I will not have you watch because.
Was this that sex cult guy? Guy? Okay, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's why I'm not. Yeah, it's not something that you need to. Yeah, it's not something I'm gonna ever watch again either. So it was dark. There's certain things that are just hit the level where I'm like, no, nobody needs to see this.
Need to bring it up.
No, okay. And this is when you have they're at the center of the sacrificing circle. You have Danny and Flowers. I really thought Danny was gonna be lit on fire. I really did.
So is the
really?
Yeah, I just did because it's. I mean, I don't know. Because yes, you see pictures of the May Queens that always win, but you never get introduced to a previous May Queen. You never go, I won last year. I won 2 years before. So I'm like, maybe the May Queen is... And I did feel they let her win. I'm like, maybe that's because they knew what would happen when you win. You get lit on fire.
Are they always outsiders then?
It didn't say, but...
But are we thinking that?
I mean, it could have been.
Could be.
I mean, that's why I thought. Because, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time in fiction or probably reality where you have someone, you're the chosen one, and we're going to murder you now.
And then we're sacrificing you. I kind of want to know what happened to her now.
I assume she just stays.
Oh, they could have sacrificed her in a different time.
But at the
I
same
think
time,
if she stays there until she's 80, she's going to die. So
yeah.
they're going to push her off the cliff.
That's true, but like he said, they don't introduce her to the previous Mayflower Queen. Where'd they all go?
Yeah, I got nothing. It's not.
I think they're just absorbed into the village.
But also with any cult or anything like this, you need to add more people to your, you need to get more people. So this is kind of a recruitment tactic too.
Yeah. And Danny is younger than Christian. So maybe it's Danny's turn to go out and recruit next time.
Oh, because they do make that comment at a certain year you go and recruit.
Yeah. You go out. You don't recruit.
Oh,
You go out and into the world.
Man, this is a dark ass movie.
No, she got to breed first with a couple of the men, so they don't.
Probably, yeah. And she would be new blood too, so that would help out too for them. Yeah.
No incest.
All right, and then this is when you have Christians in the chair, and I think this is when she makes the decision to put him into the bear skin.
Yep.
Okay, and then you start seeing them wheel bodies into the yellow church that they weren't allowed to go to before. And I was sad when I saw the bear. I'm like, oh, they killed the bear.
Yeah, but they were eating the bear meat, though.
Oh, okay, that's fair then. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
There
As long
are
as you're,
people that eat every part of the bear,
that's fine.
like the Native American.
If you're going to kill an animal, and you're making use of it, when they put Christian into the bear, all I could think of was Luke Skywalker being put into the Tauntaun, and I don't know why. That's all that went through my head.
Of course you did.
I was like, I bet they stink more on the inside than the outside. I'm like, why are you thinking this way? Because I love Star Wars. No one else, just me?
Nerd.
You never liked it before me.
I did.
No, you did.
I did.
You told me you were not. No, it's not good. Okay, stop. Never mind. I'm not having this argument.
Oh, let's not fight. You're both pretty.
I know. She is. I don't think I am. But when they put so there was one part that made me laugh a little bit because they lied to them. When they put the people in the church and they bring the two townsfolk guys in that they're sacrificed, they say, here, take this and you won't feel any pain or fear. And I laugh because he fucking lied to them. I mean, there are drugs he could have given them that they wouldn't have been completely gone. But he didn't want them to be completely gone. Because when he gives them the drugs and then they started on fire, when the fire touched them, they start screaming, which, again, makes sense because, fire's hot. And that's got to be a terrible way to go. But it's like, he just fucking lied to these people that he sentenced to death.
So, let me ask you this. At that point, do you think that they realized that everything they had been told was a lie?
Oh, I would say no. Because I feel that when you're in a cult like that, you are so indoctrined at that point that even your death you feel is, I don't think it would still click.
I'm curious on if they were actually feeling pain or if they were just screaming with the people outside, if perhaps that was just part of the ritual to scream at that point.
I thought they screamed first.
I think the people outside were screaming to mirror back those emotions of, this fucking sucks.
That's what I was wondering if they were screaming, I don't know how to explain this. If they were screaming because the people inside were screaming in pain, or because they were screaming because it was sorrow they were feeling.
Because they decided to let two of their friends get burned up. I mean that.
I would argue that it was sorrow.
Okay.
Could well be. Could be.
It was it was hard though, and like seeing all the other, and you see the other people that were killed all being loaded in there. I just still thought, because they said they killed 5, there were 9 sacrifices?
9 sacrifices.
So 2 are the people from the townsfolk. Then you have Christian, Mark, Josh, Connie, Simon. That gives you 7.
All right.
It was the older people who had died on the cliff.
The 2 elders.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to figure that out too, and then...
That makes sense. I just thought maybe there were other people that they brought that we didn't see that were also murdered.
No.
Okay.
And Ari Aster confirmed too that the ritual at the end with the yellow hut was the event that happens every 90 years, not the whole May Queen ceremony itself.
Okay.
Good.
Which also makes sense if you only kill people once every 90 years. If you do this every single year, people are going to get onto you like,
Why are these people?
Because there would be a lot of recruitment that you'd have to do to get sacrifices every year. People would notice the pattern. Somebody would, eventually.
But I do think that they recruit all the time.
I think so too.
Yeah, I did too. I took it. I mean, but even if you're just bringing people to either join your cult or have sex with your cult and they leave, I mean, that's different than, murdering them.
Yeah.
No one's going to really pay attention that some guy went and got, or you might not even tell people he went and, had a trip.
Maybe they just think it's...
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, all cults have used drugs a lot to manipulate people too. That's
Honestly,
what Manson
the
did.
Mayflower Queen probably never leaves.
Yeah.
And that's how they don't have incest.
Because you keep getting new people too.
Because the Mayflower.
Yeah.
It's just the May Queen. The Mayflower is the ship that came to America.
Oh, sorry.
You're just getting it wrong because I got it wrong.
Oh, but yeah, he kept saying it.
Yeah, I know, because I got it wrong.
I'm sorry.
Damn it, Mikey.
It's all my fault, I know. I could edit it. I wasn't going to. But
Well, it makes sense to me because she was covered in flowers. So.
Also because we're American.
Shut the hell.
It tracks. Your line of thinking tracks.
And I did notice the very last scene, Danny smiles.
Yeah.
That's a fucked up scene. Too. Thinking about your boyfriend, yes, he's a piece of shit, but he just got burned alive.
Okay, so I have a thought about that.
Yes.
That smile. And this was my actual feelings the first time I saw the movie. When she smiled, my first immediate thought was oh, I'm so happy for her. She lost her family and now she has a family.
Oh, okay.
That was legitimately my first thought when I saw this movie. I was oh, I mean, a lot of horrible things happen, but she's got her family. That's great. It's not great at all.
It is it is hard to talk about what are the benefits of joining this cult. But I think that Danny did really reap the benefits. I see the part of the movie that if I were in the same situation, what would have gotten me to stay with that cult is when they did the group cry together. Because you have Danny as unsupported as possible following this horrific tragedy. And these women just surround her and cry with her as if her pain is their pain. And it's the first time that anyone has just let Danny react the way she needs to react.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I like that scene.
Yeah, that's how I would have folded. I would have been okay, I'm staying here.
Wow, you guys actually let me be a person and validate my emotions? Shit. Fucking sign me up. Give me a robe. Let's go.
I mean, that's what cults do too, so.
Well, it's probably the most support she's ever gotten in her life. She never got it from her boyfriend.
And you hear they've been together for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he said, what'd he say? 3.5 or 3? And she's no, it's going on 4.
Yeah, he didn't really know. And then he argued with her instead of just going, yeah, okay. Why do people argue with people sometimes? About shit like that. Hey, I'm better. I'm better now. It's just, this movie hit me. It hit me hard. I was very uncomfortable after watching this movie, and I didn't want to sleep. I don't know. I was ugh.
All right. I think we finally reached that time. Do you want to be even more uncomfortable about this movie?
Sure.
Fantastic. This movie is all about how far-right white supremacists recruit their followers. Boom.
Bam.
I got nothing.
Let me explain. So, first off, there is a scene in the director's cut that was cut out of the theatrical version, which would have made this a whole lot clearer. Josh is carrying a book called The Secret Language of the Nazis, and it's all about the Uthark runes, which are the same runes that the cult has on their rocks. There's more of a point made to direct people to, oh, that's the same runic alphabet that the Nazis used. Number 2, there is that wonderful Welcome to Helsingland banner at the beginning. And there's a bunch of other text on there. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't catch this.
I didn't hear anything or,
It's fine.
What?
You'll hear it later.
No, I can't respond now. That sucks.
So the banner, when they're doing that really cool, under that flipped around kind of drone shot as they're driving and then it writes itself up.
Yeah.
There was that banner that says, Welcome to Helsingland. And there's a bunch of text on there. A translation of that text says, Stop mass migration to Helsingland. Vote for a free North this fall.
Oh.
And finally, every person of color in this movie dies. Simon, Connie, Josh, dead without question.
Huh. Okay.
Mark and Christian, well, they get killed because they fucked up.
Yeah. But they get killed last.
You made me okay. You made me think about this movie in a different way too. Okay. I'm okay with anything slamming right-wing propaganda, so.
Yeah. This is all straight up that cult is white supremacists.
Okay.
Because only certain people are allowed to breed with their stock.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So So do I get a second movie where they all get killed? That's what I want now. I want Midsommar 2 Revenge.
Midsommar 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Their parents come and kill everyone. That sounds.
So I got to say, Helena, why do we always get you on such depressing movies?
Because I'm depressed, Mikey.
Okay. Because I always like almost every episode you've been on has been something very, very depressing, whether video game or movie.
I would never join here for a fun game. To be honest, that's just not my thing.
I'm noticing.
Is this the first time you've noticed that?
No, I've noticed it before.
I was going to say, I thought you knew me, Mikey.
Oh, man, I have so many depressing things we could talk about.
You guys have last in the site. Sure, we can keep going before we go to Shelf Stacker Box. You have more things you want to say about the movie?
Oh no, I meant other movies. So depressing.
Well, yeah, no, I'm well aware.
I knew he meant other movies. What are we doing next, guys?
I don't know.
No, I was asking them, not you.
I get him.
Well, I mean, Hereditary's got to be next.
Oh yeah, I've never seen that one.
Hey, you want to be depressed, bud?
Sure, why not?
I've never seen that one. I've always meant Hereditary.
It's the cat. My animals have revolted. Luckily, Skype will edit out some of the sound, and the rest some will be edited out by me, but where I can. Oh, and Helena, to answer your earlier comment, you made a comment about how there was noise. Yeah, no, I know. I'll be editing that out. It was the phone. I didn't realize we had a phone upside down where the screen wasn't turned off, and it kept making a clicking sound over and over again. I couldn't figure out what it was.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I threw it on the floor because he was yelling at me.
I was not yelling at you.
Yes, he was. He was glaring at me.
I was more surprised I figured out what the sound was. It went on for like 50 minutes. Some of that should be hopefully edited out, but just in case you're wondering why there was noise, that's why.
I threw it on the floor.
Also, every time that me and Tiff record together, all the animals decide they have to be down here right by us and hit things and knock things over and attack Funko Pops and make all the noise they can while we record together. When I record by myself, don't have one animal. It's weird.
Because they're all up in me.
So, all right, any lessons to say about this movie besides me ranting about random things? All right, let's go to Shelf Stacker Box. And Ken, why don't you go first?
Oh, obviously I'm going to put this on the shelf. This is probably like the 10th time I've watched this movie. And every time I watch it, I notice something a little bit different. So, yeah, absolutely. Shelf this bad boy.
Okay, I'll go next. I was unsure how I felt about this movie. Like, I watched it 2 nights ago, and I'm like, I don't think I liked it, but I keep thinking about it, and I kind of want to rewatch it. And I wasn't bored the entire time watching this movie. I wasn't bored. I didn't check the clock. I didn't realize it was a 2.5 hour movie. I was engrossed in this film. So that even I don't like what I was watching because I don't really like horror films in general at all, even though someone does. Yeah. So this is going to go on the shelf because it was something that held my attention and made me think a lot about it. And what about you, Helena?
Box it. It was a great movie. I loved the symbolism. I thought there was a lot to digest about it. We could talk about it for a long, long time. It was a very well-made movie. It was visually stunning. The script was good. The acting was good. I wish I had never introduced some of these concepts into my psyche, though. I can honestly say I have not been the same person since I first saw this movie. And I wish I could undo watching it.
That's fair.
I get that.
It's a traumatizing movie, so I completely get that.
It is a very traumatizing movie. And like I said, this is the only movie that has made me physically sick. It just really impacted me a lot. And, so I studied criminal justice in college. It was one of the many things I studied. And part of that was crime scene investigation and looking at a lot of images of dead people on body farms. The dead people in Midsommar looked too similar to actual dead people. And whenever that happens in a movie, I get very freaked out by it.
That makes sense completely.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it
would be traumatic.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you what it is, but it makes me viscerally uncomfortable.
It takes the fiction and makes the fiction more real.
Yes. Actually, that is a great way of putting it.
It takes something you're supposed to be enjoying and you're having, thinking like, okay, this is too close to reality. And that's what, this movie was harder to watch for me versus something like, for Nightmare on Elm Street. I like those movies. I'm not worried about a guy with a claw coming in my dreams and killing me. A cult that sacrificed me because I pissed on a tree. Well, I wouldn't have pissed on a tree, but that's much more real. This is a much more real thing.
That is exactly it, Mikey. Thank you for eloquently stating that.
Plus, I feel like in your TikToks, you cover more slasher films.
Gore isn't my favorite genre. Okay. Or I guess I shouldn't say genre. Gore isn't my favorite subgenre of horror, but I do tend to prefer paranormal or demonic movies.
Okay. Again, more, things that are
very obviously fake. Yes.
Yeah, or less likely to happen, where this is much closer to reality and there are cults out there and there are things like this happen to people. So it hits a different way. It's disturbing.
Correct. Yes, that is exactly it.
No, I completely get it. And especially if you have, I have thankfully never, I've seen stuff from World War II, but I've never seen like what you're talking about. So I don't have that image to pop in my head, thank God. But so I completely get that. And Tiffany, what about you?
I think I'm going to put it in the stack because I kind of immediately want to watch it again because of everything we said here. However, I don't want to put it on the shelf because I wouldn't watch it often, but I would probably bring it out every now and then to just introduce it to new friends and possibly creep the shit out of them just for that fact. But
that sounds accurate.
Yes, I would love to introduce it to Ashley and Brittany. That would be really fun.
It's a good film. It's just a very creepy film that hits. I don't know how I feel about watching Hereditary now, Ken, but I'm probably going to now, huh?
That's what you're going to say, Hereditary.
Probably.
Yeah. But yeah. Why are you staring at me, Kat?
It's not quite like this.
Okay.
I'd say it's a markedly different movie. Would you agree, Helena?
Hereditary?
Yeah.
Yes. So the discomfort in Midsommar and the discomfort in Hereditary are it's different. It's very different. Hereditary in general, I think it's visually a lot darker. Midsommar is pretty bright throughout the movie, but Hereditary, it starts dark, it stays dark. And I can honestly say there was no part of Hereditary that I predicted. It's a different kind of scare.
Okay. I was surprised how much having a movie full of sun can be scary.
Yeah, isn't that uncomfortable?
Yeah, it really was.
I love
because
they do that.
It takes away the idea that we feel safer in the light. In this movie, you are not safe in the light.
No.
So it takes away that. There's also a science fiction movie called Sunshine that does that too, where the sun kills you because you're right next to the sun. But it kind of, this is a much different level of movie because it's a horror movie, not a science fiction movie. But it was freaky. I think someone brought it up before we did this about the sun, and it affected me. I also have never watched an A24 movie either. I can say that. I don't think I have ever from the studio.
Under the Skin.
Oh, that was A24 also? Okay, never mind then. Okay. They make some weird movies, don't they?
Yup. But they're fun.
We'll go with that, sure. So, all right. I don't think I have anything else to say. So as I say every time, all right. So this is our spooky season. We will have other spooky stuff coming up. I'm completely thrown off because of this film, guys. This is emotional recording for me too. I can feel it. I'm like, this is a good one. But so there will be other horror movies. We're in spooky season that you have stuff to look forward to. So definitely go check that out. If you want to support the show, we do have a Patreon. We have a horror poll going on right now, so you can vote for what movies that we're going to watch. I don't know what the poll is because I haven't written this one yet. So definitely go check that out. You'll see it on Patreon. I also, as I say every episode, I will do it for Helena. I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Hasphere. You can follow her on TikTok. So definitely go do that, as I say every single time.
Thank you.
Of course. I also love the music too. So I enjoy that we have our original intro and outro. And want to give a shout out to my buddy Bill Tucker, who started his own podcast at Gamer Looks at 40. Definitely go check him out. You'll see a link in the show notes to every episode that we do too, where he is on there. He was going to be on this episode, but he couldn't make it, unfortunately, due to scheduling, because it's busy season for him, so he was not unable to. But he also did recommend this movie to watch me too, which, again, it fits Bill. Multiple times in this movie, I'm like, yep, that's a Bill moment right there. So he likes gore in movies. And if you want to, we do have a Discord. You'll see a link in the show notes. Please go join our Discord and chat with us. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on Threads. And we're also on YouTube, audio only, but we are on YouTube. You get your podcast that way. And you can find everything we do on Podbean. There's over 500 episodes of this podcast. I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
So long.